Good afternoon. This meeting is being recorded for the civil society organizations in Mongu District. The subject of this call and meeting is to present to the civil society organizations that are based in Mongu and introduce them to a project that is called Advancing the Role of Inclusive Participation in Countering Corruption to Dismantle Kleptocracy. This project is funded by the U.S. Embassy in conjunction with Zambian Promoting Leadership in America. As I go through the presentation, I'm going to invite you at the end of it to ask questions. And our team is really looking forward to having an engaging conversation with those of you that are on the phone. The project is aimed at really supporting our president's words around young people being advocates for social change and being able to engage effectively in the fight against corruption. As everybody on the call is aware, corruption takes away from our ability to develop. It takes away from our ability to be innovative. So we are supporting our president and administration in the fight against corruption, using our youth as actors. For this call, we are going to go through a welcome on the phone introduction. We will then provide an overview of the project, what our objectives are, the timeline, metrics, risk and mitigation strategies, as well as share with you our communication strategy. As civil society organizations, we understand the importance of the role that you play in the Mongu district, and we're looking forward to partnering with you as we progress with this project. So in terms of introduction, on behalf of the leadership team, as well as the project team that's working on this event, we want to do a welcome and introduction. I'll talk a little bit about Zambia's Promoting Leadership in America. We are a nonprofit. We are also a civil society organization that operates not only in Atlanta, but in Zambia as well. And we have been in existence since 2014. So this year we're celebrating 10 years of social impact. Our work really has centered on bridging the gap between, bridging and creating a bridge between Zambia and the United States of America, where most of our membership and volunteers are. Over the last 10 years, we've been able to have movements that are centered around shifting mindset. We understand that in addition to leadership, a shift in mindset is what will allow us to progress and move forward as a country. The picture that you're looking at was taken at our September event that was held in Atlanta. The theme for this event was shifting mindsets for entrepreneurial success. We have advising support and are engaged with our ambassador to the United States, Chipambe Kanyama. And we have an opportunity as well as an organization to showcase our culture. And Ms. Mulenga Kapwepe, who is seen here, has been very instrumental, not only in advising us, but also working with us. So as a nonprofit organization, we are very proud of the work that we are doing. We're very proud of the impact and opportunity to bring and transfer skills and ability to Mongu District. What I mentioned around ZLA is we are the brainchild and the visionaries behind the Shifting Mindsets to Ignite Growth, which was the first diaspora conference that was held in Livingston last year. At that, you see our very able New Dawn administration leader, President Hakainde Hichilema, supported by his ministers, as well as the Bank of Zambia governor, Dr. Kalialia, as well as notable persons, Kalusha Walia, Lukwesa Burak, and several other leaders from other diaspora organizations from across the world. At this event, the president charged us as the diaspora to become more engaged in developing Zambia. And as many countries experience, diasporans as well as other countries are hesitant in investing in a country that has corruption. So we saw this as an opportunity for us to engage and support the fight against corruption, utilizing our youth who represent 80% of the population under 40 in the fight against corruption to help increase confidence for not only the diaspora, for other persons that are interested in investing in Zambia. So from this Livingston, we were able to create a program for the youth, which was held in Lusaka in November 2020. In hosting this event, we engaged with the Anti-Corruption Commission, Drug Enforcement Commission, Financial Intelligence Center, and other law enforcement organizations to identify 5 leaders from each of the provinces in Zambia. We also had facilitators and we had support from the Irish Embassy. So this picture depicts the leaders that were selected from all 10 provinces that came together to attend and participate in a 3-day program. The 3 days comprised of day 1, which was really on highlighting our responsibility as patriots of the country. It also included a shift and the emphasis on each individual having the power to manage their mindsets. And we emphasized and knew that if we have to fight corruption, it has to start with the individual because it starts with one person. These 5 youth were also experienced and given exposure to the role of the different law enforcement agencies. On day 2, we really highlighted the derailers that prevent us from being our ultimate selves. These derailers included substance disorder abuse, included GBV, included mental health awareness, but also included corruption. We highlighted all the things that youth need to be aware of that will prevent them from being wholesome so that they could now segue to day 3, which was really around highlighting and showcasing Zambians who are being successful as entrepreneurs and are not using the corrupt methods that have become somewhat part of our culture. After day 3, we were able to touch the hearts and minds of these youth who have since taken it upon themselves to go to their respective provinces and share the learnings from this program with others. Over this period, they touched 500,000 youth through going to institutions and schools, through markets, just really helping others understand the impact of corruption as well as their responsibility in identifying and fighting corruption. From this, our youth leaders who are on this call, so I want to applaud the Western Province youth leaders in leading and driving this youth rally, which involved over 1,200 youth. The messaging around this that the leadership from ZLA saw was the intersection of not only fighting corruption, but fighting it within a sector such as agriculture. So there is an intersection point around here, which is how can we promote youth activism, not only in fighting corruption, but within a sector where they can also find jobs. In addition to that, the diaspora were able to raise funds to help support this initiative, which was fully funded by ZLA. And it is at this event that we have been able to now open relationships and doors with other stakeholders so that we can advance forward with the project that is focusing in on helping fight corruption. Our team has project advisors as well as project team. It is a diverse team as it involves Americans, Zambian Americans, and Zambians on ground. And our team is also advised by Ambassador Sheila Siwela. She was the ambassador to the United States, who is very keen on engaging the youth, improving and fighting our organization and our challenges. We also have a local partnership out of Lusaka, Young Women in Action. You'll hear from Florence is on the phone, as well as Vesa, the executive director. But we believe that as a diaspora organization, we have to learn and leverage the local partnerships, expertise, and insights so that we can contextualize the work that we are doing so that we can have better outcomes. In addition to that, we have identified several different stakeholders from the US Embassy, from the Ministry of Education, Health, Agriculture, from the Zambian Agency for People Living with Disabilities. I know somebody's on the call for that. Civil society organizations such as yourself, churches, Anti-Corruption Commission, Drug Enforcement Commission, and Transparency International Zambia. We as ZLA recognize that in order for us to have impactful results that will really make a change, that will really increase the likelihood of sustainability, we have to engage others in this very important fight against corruption. So with that said, I would like to take a minute to take any questions that are here from the team that's online before I go into the actual project. I can't see all the names of the persons that are on, but are there any questions at this point? John, can you help assist me with identifying who's on the phone so that they can ask questions, please?
Maybe we can start with Madam Namakao. Bwana Makao. Okay, Madam Kalaluka. Maybe we can go to Madam Kalaluka. I don't know if Madam Makao is having network challenges.
I just had no questions in the chat. With your permission, let me proceed on to the project overview. And please, if anybody has questions as I continue, feel free to use the reaction hands up, and I will move forward with that. Let's talk about the project. So how are we going to counter corruption in Zambia? How are we going to advance accountable governance in the utilization of public resources for agriculture, health, and education sectors? What the outcomes of this project are to increase public awareness, to enhance social and institutional accountability, and to reduce corruption. We are utilizing our youths in helping us achieve these goals. And what's important in Mongu is really the engagement of the youth leaders as well as the Barotse Royal establishment. We have got endorsement from the Litunga, from the Royal Cabinet, as well as all the indunas that also see the value of being able to shift the mindset to reduce corruption and give the future generations, an opportunity to also excel. And we have their support for driving this forward. I'm going to talk a little bit about the focus audience as well as the sectors. The audience is women, youth, persons with disabilities. They're critical because a lot of times they are often overlooked. Our sectors, we've been able to hone in on specific areas. In agriculture, we know that there is, from public resources, allocations of the Farmer Input Support Program, the FISP, and we want to ensure that the women, youth, and persons with disabilities are also benefiting and are receiving support through the FISP. So that's our focus on the agriculture space. For education, we know that there's free education. However, there are incidences where people are being charged to get a place in school. And with health, it's really around the distribution of supplies, both drugs, as well as supplies such as mosquito nets. As everybody is aware, CDF funds have increased over the last few years because their intention are really to support the development of each community. So we want to ensure that the allocated amounts are being distributed accordingly, and are not being overlooked as it relates to women, youth, persons with disability. I want to then talk about the scope. We are looking at select wards. In Mongu, there are 18 wards. And of those 18 wards, we're going to be looking at 3 wards. Those 3 wards are going to help us in identifying 150 direct beneficiaries that encompass women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Indirectly, we want to hit 250,000 or 250,000 indirect beneficiaries. This project is funded 80% through the work of ZLA, and 20% of our project budget is coming from the US Embassy. And we as a team are dedicated, we're focused on ensuring that the results of this first phase can be replicated and that we can get additional support to do more work in Mongu. Knowing that the modes of communication have evolved, we are utilizing different methods, not only in operating the project, but also in our outreach efforts that encompass Facebook, TikTok, Zoom, WhatsApp, Loop, using Google Drive, as well as the news channels to convey our message. Our biggest areas of opportunity as it relates to our intent outcomes, raising awareness, as well as ensuring that there's insights around reporting mechanisms for corruption. So let me segue now into the timeline and the metrics. And I won't go too deep into this as there is a recording and you have that to reference. Our timeline is short. However, our very able team will be able to work through this through the end of March, beginning of April, we'll begin to monitor. Right now, we're in January and we're doing the capacity stakeholder engagement, as well as capacity building of the team, as well as training. And we're also working on the current state analysis. Thereafter, we're going to engage the community through the civil society organizations, as well as being able to conduct interventions, as well as continue with the feedback analysis. I mentioned the tools. We're going to continue conducting interventions through March, start ensuring that our civil society organizations, as well as law enforcement agencies, are aligned with us in enhancing community accountability, and we're going to continue getting feedback so that we can course correct as necessary. And in April, we will continue with wrapping up on our interventions, ensuring that there's sustainability. So an ongoing perspective is, as a team, we continue to become more aware. We ensure that there is ongoing communication with our stakeholders, as well as with our civil society organizations, and that we're evaluating our projects so that it can be successful. Our indicators to ensure that we can come back at the end of 3.5 months to see whether we have made a difference. The number of corruption cases that are reported within the wards that we will select, informational posters, as well as other innovative ways to increase awareness through not only government, but also schools. Corruption awareness campaigns will be conducted using innovative methods such as TikTok. Anti-corruption clubs and integrity committees formed. We will be able to leverage those that have been started by ACC. Our purpose too, which is enhancing social and institutional accountability. We want to really ensure that there's communication, intensified dialogues, that we're creating safe spaces for our women, youth, and persons with disability. We know that once there is increased awareness of how things should operate, we want to ensure that we're capturing the number of complaints and observations that are ongoing within and hopefully will begin to be minimized, as well as the number of complaints that will be adjudicated, the whistleblower protections, and additional reporting processes that can be created using innovative methods. For number 3, we want to ensure that we are getting to adjudicate some corrupt cases, getting more results, that the number of people as well as CSO are trained in budget tracking, the number of young people trained in counter-corruption practices, and the number of action plans developed. What we have found is that we are not creating interventions from scratch, but we're going to leverage the work of Transparency International that have come up with different ways, mediums, as well as guides for youth to engage with that will help drive and increase awareness. I'm now going to segue to look at the risk and mitigation strategies and our risks that we have identified to date. These are just some of them, but to give insights around what we have already experienced, which is outdated information, as well as our inability to verify accuracy of some of the information. When you go online, for example, you go to the census for the wards, it's giving us information from 2010. We're 14 years later. Although the census has been performed, the information isn't easily accessible online. We also know that in Mongu, based on our current understanding, there is no one dedicated organization that is focused on persons with disabilities. So working around ensuring that we have fair representation. And I'm sure maybe you may be aware of those, but this is why we're putting it out there. This is our current state understanding, but from a civil society organization, if you're able to correct us on identifying where they are, that will be wonderful. And then also our team, because we are global in the extent that some of us are not here, and knowing that the patriotism of being able to communicate in Lozi, our team is going to ensure that we can at least learn a few sentences here, but we want to ensure that our translation and our communication utilizes translators so that we can help facilitate, especially to our audiences. And then we also recognize that there may be persons today that are inherent within the allocation of public resources that are engaged perhaps in corrupt practices. So being able to highlight and create a radar on them, they may not be as willing to help support us. So we want to ensure that we can focus on the project objectives and work around that challenge. And then last, right now, as everybody is aware, there are external factors that might occur. In this particular case, we highlight cholera and how that might challenge us, as well as even internet challenges and power outages that might impact the way that we work for us to achieve our goals. So these are just a few of the risks that we've identified in the mitigation strategies. I'm going to go ahead now to talk about communication. And for communication, as you all know, communication is a derailer. It can make or break a project. So our communication strategy involves not only these audiences, but some of these key areas around ensuring that our stakeholders are engaged, we keep them updated, that we are able to host meetings and workshops, that we're utilizing social media and other online platforms in communicating, that we are able to successfully execute advocacy and awareness campaigns, that we take into consideration the feedback as we are projecting and processing through this project, that we continue with capacity building sessions, and last but most important is M&E. We know that we do not want just to complete 3 words. We want to be able to showcase where we started as a baseline and the impact that this project will have, not only on our team, but also on the community, as well as the other stakeholders that we're working with. So with that said, I'm going to go to our next steps. Where are we and what are we going to be doing over the next few weeks? We are going to continue having stakeholder follow-up meetings. We've met with the district commissioner, we've also met with the US Embassy, as well as all the stakeholders from ministries of health, agriculture, and education. We're meeting with you. You're very important for us. We're meeting with TI. So this week and next week, we're really dedicating it to ensuring that we are messaging to all our stakeholders on all the other areas, because we believe in the power of collaboration. We are also working on completing our current state analysis to document where we are today and how we're starting. And we will be segueing into engaging wards as well as interventions. And last but not least, on around February the 6th week, we will be coming to Mongu. Our team will be in Mongu to start with our interventions, as well as bringing in-person Mongu sessions. So with that said, I would like to thank you all for being on this call, and I'd like to open up for questions, as well as just comments on the approach, our team, and get expertise from you all being on ground on how we can make this project beyond successful. So thank you so much for your time. I will now open the floor. And I'll stop sharing as well. Namakau, since you had no questions before, can you please perhaps share some questions that you have? And welcome to those that came on while I was making the presentation. I'll start with Namakau.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay. My observation is a very good project that we are starting. But maybe my question is on how do we go in the community? Are we going to be going in the communities, community outreach? Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Are we going to conduct community outreach?
Yes,
or
we
just
are.
by
Yes, we are. We're going to, and thank you so much for your question, Namakau. Absolutely. Community outreach is so important. If you recall, we have 250,000 or 250 indirect beneficiaries, and we have 150 direct beneficiaries. Some of the outreach methodologies that we are considering is in alignment with the churches. As you know, churches have good representation of the community. So we're working with them to help refine our outreach approaches.
Thank you very much. I was asking that question because in rural areas, especially the hard to reach communities, you find that some of them, they don't have phones. So if we stick on social media, then it means we are leaving others behind. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for that question, Amakao. And yes, we intend to also not only like the reason we're working with you is that to also see how we can support each other. We do have foot soldiers on ground as well. And John Chingumbe, I know you know him, will be able to conduct those in the areas and wards. We do have a selection process where we're prioritizing which wards that we're going to go after. We have received some feedback from our district commissioner on the prioritization of those wards. And we are taking into consideration the population, we're taking into consideration the number of current complaints, but we're compiling information so that we can do a prioritization of which are the wards that we will go into. Once we have selected those wards, we will be able to deploy a multi-pronged approach of outreach methods.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you for your question. Martin Silishebo, I've never seen the name Silishebo. I've seen Nalishebo. I didn't realize there was Silishebo. I like that name. It's my first time seeing that. Any questions, Martin and or Silishebo, or both of you?
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, I came late, so I missed your presentation. Otherwise, it's a good project.
Thank you
So
so
I
much.
don't have the question. Okay.
We are recording it. We're even recording your question right now. So we will share the recording afterwards that you can listen to.
All right.
Silishebo?
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm all right. It's very unfortunate that I joined a little bit late, so I didn't get clear your presentation.
No worries. We'll be able to share the recording. And if there are any questions thereafter, you can feel free to reach out to our team, or you can put in the WhatsApp group that John has established any questions or thoughts that you might have.
All right. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. And I believe Kalaluka or Kondwani Etambuya, you're seeing this for the first time. Questions, thoughts, reactions from you.
Let me start it off. Thank you for the presentation. It was very well received and well packaged. My question is coming from me as the provincial coordinator of Zambian Youth League. I want to find out to what level the civil society organizations are engaged in this project.
Right. Now that you have seen this, we are inviting you to participate and engage with us as we start with our interventions. What we will do is, because we all work together, when we've identified our interventions, please, I will ask John, or you reach out to John, so that we can also get feedback on the interventions we've identified. We're looking at you, Kondwani, to help us with identifying best practices. What has worked well from your perspective? Zambia Youth League, what outreach methods have worked well? Maybe you can even share with us some of that, because we don't want to use methods that haven't been proven that might feel good, but from your experience, you might provide feedback on ones that work better than others.
Thank you very much for that one, ma'am.
No, thank you. Can you maybe share with us what outreach methods work well from your experience?
Oh, okay. Thank you. For Zambian Youth League, we've used quite a number of outreach strategies, such as one-on-one conversations with youths. We would go out into different clubs where we know that youths meet, and we'll talk to them about things that, of course, we are trying to run. For example, one of the projects that we ran was under health, and we were trying to advocate for the use of family planning among the youth because of the high levels of pregnancies in our community. So we would go to school clubs, community clubs where we know would find our target audience, and we would involve them in projects like Liseli Fun Club, where they would be forced to interact with other people in line with family planning. So we would recruit different kinds of youths just so they could go out into radio programs, go and play with their friends and talk to their friends about family planning. And it yielded quite good results.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And we'll be in touch with you. Florence, if you can grab Kondwani's name so that we can ensure that we're aligning and getting best practices from Kondwani and the team. Thank you for your question, Kondwani, and for your insights on outreach. I'm going to just see, I like that love. I haven't seen that reaction button. That's a nice one. I'm going to see, team, is there anything that you would like to share with our civil society organizations that can be of, from your perspective? I believe that you've had a lot of experiences, especially around capacity building. So I'm just opening the floor for our team to also share and at this point communicate what they feel is most critical for our civil society organizations that are based in Mongu.
Hello, everyone. This is Florence. I will go first, but mine is a question to the civil society organizations. So looking at our project, raising awareness on corruption, how do you see yourselves aligning what you do in Mongu with what we're bringing? Like I know the introduction was we're having civil society organizations, but could you please speak to what your organization is doing and how we could align that with the works that we'll be doing? Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We can hear you, Martin.
Okay, my full names are Martin Kalaluka, as you can see. I'm representing Namuso Community Development Organization. As Namuso Community Development Organization, we're into so many advocacy. We do advocating for adolescent and sexual reproductive health rights. We are also into early childhood development. And we have a different approaches that we use depending on the topic that we are at. For adolescent and sexual, someone was trying to call me. Hello, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello? Okay. Yes, so under this adolescent and sexual reproductive health rights, we're using different methods. The first one was the community mobilization, where we could bring out the community and talk to them. And also we're using the focus group discussions. Sometimes we used to do even drama just to sensitize communities on the importance of that topic. But under early childhood development, we have another model which we're using, which is community-driven system change, where we would want the community first to share their inspirations and their challenges, and how we can fit in and how we can disseminate information within themselves so that there's ownership of the project as well as the community appreciating what we are doing and be able to speak the same language with the community and move together. So those are some of the things that I wanted to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And along
Hello,
the same lines,
hello.
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 Yes, this is Namaka Ketoi calling you. Uh, as our organization is called Network of Zambian People Living with HIV/AIDS, mostly we deal with the HIV programs. So we are in HIV
Reproductive health rights.
awareness.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So currently we have a project that is running that is funded by Action Aid. We are in promoting or strengthening social accountability monitoring of developmental projects and services. So the approach that we used was to mobilize the community. We formed some groups that we call social accountability monitoring groups. Then those groups are trained in different issues, with HIV awareness, sexual reproductive health, and HIV, then social accountability itself as a key point. So we trained these groups. After training them, then they go into monitoring what is happening in their communities. Then as an organization, we are an advocate organization. So we have advocated for several issues. One of them is the increase of ART centers, where we can testify as the moment everybody is getting the ART at any point where you want. And this project that we have that is funded by Action Aid, currently it has bared a lot of fruits. We have seen change in the community. We can spot one just near here in Kande. We found that facility, it has a lot of services that were being provided under a small roof. So we started advocating for improved service delivery, whereby the adolescents and young people, they can have confidential. At the moment, they have started building a structure that has come during our implementation of that project. So it's an achievement. So the approach that we use, radio programs, community awareness meetings, trainings, then they also have those who are able to testify, role models. We have role models in the community that we can use. So those are some of the models that we have used to achieve good results. So in short, that's what I can say. But among our members, as people living with HIV, there are people who are living with disability. So they are also our members. So the issue of people living with disability is also part of our implementation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Namakau. And what we're going to do is tap into you, team, if you heard. So I want to also acknowledge and thank you for the work that you're doing with Action Aid. It's very impressive. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And what I would also like is to just hear more around the approach and the inclusion of persons with disability, whether you select them or how that works. There was a comment that we had that there is no dedicated organization for persons with disability. Can you affirm that? And then can you also share with us your approach in how you include them?
Thank you very much. The approach, definitely, I cannot say no, we target them direct, but our keynote is a person living with disability. You find that some of them, they are living with disability, but they're also HIV positive. So we included them at that age of being people living with HIV. But we had meetings with the people living with disability. Yes. Have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you. It sounds like you don't. First of all, are you aware of any group in Mongu that's dedicated to disabilities? I didn't hear whether you said yes or no.
Yeah,
Not
oh,
dedicated.
you sounded like
Yes, no. Because if you say dedicated, it means that's your core business.
yeah, it's like okay.
Yes, our core business is people living with HIV. So under that category of people living with HIV, that's why we have people
Okay.
living with disability. Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I just wanted to affirm whether that's what that was the truth. And then secondly is again applauding you for the work that you're doing. Are you aware of any initiative that has been targeted on corruption, specifically on corruption in Western Province?
No, at the moment, but we had in the past.
Okay, who was leading that?
That project was under concern worldwide some time back.
Okay. No, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate and look forward to working with you, even if it's to share with you what we're going on.
Any line, government line.
Yes, thank you for that. I saw in Tambora, you had your hand up. Do you still need to say something or have you put it down? Etambuyu.
Also add my voice to the question that Madam Francis had put. I want to affirm that as Mongu or Western Province Civil Society Organization are very much ready for this project because it brings more light and it brings more strategy towards the Western Province because
I'm so sorry, you are breaking up quite a bit. You're breaking up quite a bit.
Oh, am I audible now?
No, you're breaking up.
Yeah. All right, okay, maybe it's network. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we can capture that by you writing in the chat the key message that you wanted to share. If you don't mind using the chat functionality. Any other thoughts or questions from the team, from ZLA team, comments, thoughts to share with the civil society organizations? But we're really looking forward to partnering with you. In the last few minutes, I just want to open the floor again.
Hello, on my end, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi. Anybody else? I'm going to stop the recording now. I want to thank you all for being a part of this meeting and thank you everyone for your time.